Teenagers face greater pressure to succeed academically now and have less time for fun.
Isabel Hudson and Alexandra Sukin are busy high school seniors. Both have a long resume of extracurricular activities.
Swimming and rowing and science teams, engineering. I'm involved with Students Helping Students. I'm a math tutor for third grader.
Add schoolwork and college applications, and most kids in their final year of high school are stressed out.
It's definitely overwhelming. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself too. I don't know, I like getting good grades. I like doing well in school.
What is education? Like, you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain. It's actually amazingly bad in conventional education, because like, it shouldn't be like this huge chore. You've got someone standing up there kind of lecturing at people, and they've done the same lecture 20 years in a row, and they're not very excited about it, and that lack of enthusiasm is conveyed to the students. They're not very excited about it. They don't know why they're there. Like, why are we learning this stuff? We don't even know why. In fact, I think a lot of things people learn, probably there's no point in learning them, because they never use them in the future. And back and say, well, why are we teaching people these things? And we should tell them probably why we're teaching these things. Because a lot of kids just in school kind of puzzled as to why they're there. And I think if you can explain the why of things, then that makes a huge difference to people's motivation. Then they understand purpose.
They may look like laid-back high school students on a beautiful spring day, but one student at Los Altos High said looks are deceiving.
Stress is, in a word, overwhelming.
That's not just talk. Sarah Loebner has the numbers to back it up. Her student group worked with Stanford University on a year-long study of stress and its effects on 1,400 students. Almost half of the students surveyed reported having trouble sleeping due to stress. About a third admitted to having cheated to get better grades. 57% said they felt burned out, either often or every day. And many said they do activities in sports not for fun, but because it looks good on their student resumes. Judy Prothro is a counselor who said most of the stress is caused by out-of-control college competitiveness. It's not just Los Altos High. Students at nearby Gunn High School, where there's been a recent rash of suicides, say they are just as stressed.
I think here the level of expectation is just so high that sometimes it's hard to sort of match up to that.
This is the heart of Silicon Valley, where parents and schools push their kids to perform like high-tech machines. With a list of classes including honors physics, Latin, and calculus, Sarah says the stress sometimes makes her physically ill.
Just because there's so many thoughts in your head and you're trying to sort it all out, and there's really no way to kind of master it all, and so it's super overwhelming and it kind of like explodes.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. People like Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
65% of Americans have college debt. Maybe you're one of them. And total student debt in this country at nearly $1 trillion is now greater than total credit card debt. That's partly because more people are going to college, even as college costs skyrocket, having decided that the sacrifice is worth it. But is it really? Tonight we meet a man who made billions in Silicon Valley, who says the answer is often no.
College is sort of, on the one hand, giving people learning, on the other hand, taking away some future opportunities by loading the next generation down with debt.
Critics will say that, well, Peter Thiel, he went to Stanford. He has his law degree from Stanford. Easy for him now to say, well, not everybody has to go to college.
Facebook was started in 2004. That was the right time to start that company. If all the people involved had finished their college education and waited till 2006, 2007, it would have been too late for that business. Price of education on a college level has gone up by a factor of more than 10 since 1980. Adjusted for inflation, it's gone up by about 300%, more than housing or tech stocks. It's been an incredible run-up.
But isn't the payout later, isn't it a long-term investment? For example, the typical person who's graduated from college is likely to make 2 times more over their lifetime than the person who just has a high school diploma.
Doesn't that say something's gone wrong with our society? It's become so critical to get these credentials. And what does it say when Anyone with just a high school degree has no prospects in our society.
What these things have in common, you see, is that kids will take a chance. You know, if they don't know, they'll have a go. Am I right? They're not frightened of being wrong. Now, I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. If you're not prepared to be wrong. And by the time they get to be adults, most kids have lost that capacity. They have become frightened of being wrong. And we run our companies this, by the way. We stigmatize mistakes. And we're now running national education systems where mistakes are the worst thing you can make. And the result is that we are educating people out of their creative capacities. Picasso once said this. He said that all children are born artists. The problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. I believe this passionately, that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. Or rather, we get educated out of it.
You know, if you define technology as doing more with less, education is perhaps the most anti-technological aspect of our society today, where you're getting the same at a higher and higher price. Right. You know, the real costs of higher education since 1980 have gone up about 400%. We certainly have an education bubble today, and you know, bubbles are characterized by things costing more than they're worth. They're characterized by sort of intense psychosocial dynamics, so it's very hard for people to suggest that you should not go to the best college you can get into, right, because people don't know what else to do. So again, this sort of failure of imagination of an alternate future. And bubbles are also characterized by abstractions away from reality. And so I think the word education itself is this incredible abstract filler. Perhaps better to think of education as understood as an insurance policy, where it's probably not worth as much as people are paying for it, but they're scared of falling through the cracks in our society. And so as the cracks get bigger, we pay more and more for insurance against it. We have this priestly class of professors that doesn't do very much work. People are buying indulgences in the form of amassing enormous debt for the sort of secular salvation that a diploma represents. I think it is striking how little of a focus there is on teaching. How much sense does it make for professors to really invest in their graduate students and PhD programs when there's a sense that none of these people will get jobs anymore anyway?
Right. People are not as well educated today as they were, the elites at least, 70 or 80 years ago. People know fewer languages, they memorize less poetry, they're less familiar with history and just literature. I mean, just no reason young people in 2014 should be less well educated than a young person was in 1914, but it's evidently the case in many ways, you know.
What if I told you that every single day kids go to school, they become less intelligent? The fact is, there is so much more than just one type of intelligence. And while school can make you more academically intelligent, it can teach you physics, algebra, calculus. It is diminishing the children's creative intelligence. It is teaching them to think a certain way, to go down a certain path in life. It is telling them, go to high school, get a diploma. Go to a good college, find a stable job. And if you don't do that, you won't be successful. And if that was true, how am I even standing here today? How did I, a straight C student, start a technology company at the age of 16? And how is my company, which was featured on the Wall Street Journal last week, doing better than some of the companies started by Harvard or Stanford graduates? It must be something that can't be measured by academic intelligence alone. The fact is, there are way too many people out there right now who are obsessed with telling kids to go to college, to find a good job, and to be successful. There are not enough who are telling kids to explore more possibilities, to become entrepreneurs.